Here we have the arcade cab hooked up to a PC. All the connections are plug and play using USB. The encoder board in the cab supports X-input. X-input is a protocol that enables Windows applications to process the controller interactions on the cabinet. Because the PC version of Next Machina has configurable keyboard controls and the arcade cab encoder uses X-input, we can map the arcade cabinet controls to recreate a Robotron twin-stick experience. I've used a very easy to use freeware program called Joy to Key. Next Machina is also available on the PlayStation 4, but technically it's very difficult to replicate the twin-stick functionality on the arcade cabinet by connecting it to the PlayStation 4. This shows that using a PC to recreate and better arcade experiences offers more flexibility than using a console. That means we can play any PC game that has options to use a USB gamepad or keyboard on this arcade cabinet. Steam has an extensive library of modern games that take their inspiration from arcade games. But sitting in front of a monitor at a desk with a mouse, keyboard or gamepad is a more play a game at the office experience than an arcade experience. That is not the way to experience reimagined arcade games that use modern technology like Next Machina. These games come to life when played on an arcade cabinet with all the audio, visual, artwork and control features that puts the player at the centre of an arcade experience. I've used my Power PC in this instance, but the arcade cabinet will work with the Steam Deck. Next Machina was the last evolution of Robotron. It's never been bettered since its release. Conceived, designed and developed by Housemarque with the assistance of Eugene Jarvis, the vision was to produce a version for PlayStation 4, PC and an arcade cabinet product. The main driver behind producing an arcade cabinet product was that it had been nearly 30 years since the release of an arcade cabinet twin-stick shooter game. The PC version and the PlayStation 4 version of Next were released in 2017, but the arcade cabinet has yet to happen. To really do a retro reimagination of Robotron 2084 justice, it has to offer twin-stick gaming experience and it has to be played on an arcade cabinet with all the features that make you think you're in an arcade. So here we have Next Machina being played as a traditional arcade experience. This is a natural evolution of replicating the original 2084 arcade machine. Housemarque from Finland are renowned for their top-down perspective isometric arcade games on the PlayStation consoles, particularly PlayStation 3 and Housemarque clearly take their inspiration from the twin stick and shoot 'em up genre. Housemarque worked with Jarvis on the concept design for Next Machina. Initially Housemarque named the game the Jarvis Project and Robotron. Subsequently they suggested the name of the game be either Storm Runner or Retro Justice, but Jarvis did not like either of those names. When Jarvis visited the Housemarque studio in Finland the first time, they showed him a Robotron 2084 arcade cabinet in the studio, but it was faulty and not working very well. The first thing that Jarvis tried to do was repair it. It was clear from the outset to Jarvis that the Housemarque team and the game designers were all influenced by his games Defender, Robotron 2084 to name a few. The backstory behind Housemarque it's the same story and narrative that Jeff Minter talks about. The Housemarque team played the Jarvis games in the arcade, Defender, Robotron, Stargate, and they were blown away. It then inspired them to go on to produce great games people wanted to play. When Jarvis first experienced the next game, he lauded it and called it Supernovafication of what makes Robotron 2084 great. Any aspect of what makes Robotron 2084 great and Supernovafication it, and you end up with Next Machina. To achieve the Supernovafication of Robotron 2084 in Next Machina, what the Housemarque team did was maximise the graphical processing power available for use in the PlayStation 4 and PC. This is not the first time the technology of the time has been used to supernovify Robotron 2084. When Robotron 2084 was initially developed, they used the technology of the time known as a blitter chip to maximise the gameplay experience graphically and to speed up the game. At the time Robotron N64 was conceived on the Nintendo 64, they used the technology of the time at the time to create the isometric and 3D gaming experience using polygons. Next Machina was announced at E3 2016. The announcement got 1 minute of airtime at E3. 25 years from now, most games at E3 2016 will be forgotten, but Robotron 2084 will not be forgotten. The game was released to critical acclaim. Even the Guardian newspaper gave it a glowing review. Its sales did not live up to expectation, yet Housemarque team are on record saying it's one of their greatest games and achievements. The twin stick plays perfectly, and the sound just blows you away. It's a full-on, voxel, graphical, next-generation, death machine destruction, supernovafication of pure neon and 80s synthwave. The inspiration for these type of games comes from writers like Asimov, Philip K. Dick, William Gibson. Robots, androids, dystopian futures, cybernetics, artificial intelligence gone wrong, and cyberpunk. The books were the blueprint, Ridley Scott's Blade Runner the vision, and Robotron the experience.